Don't lose your long-term focus. Hey everybody, this is Alan Hensley from Merriman Wealth Management, and today I just want to remind everyone that taking those small incremental steps over time is going to help you achieve that long-term goal. And sometimes it doesn't feel like we're making any progress, especially when those steps are really, really tiny. Believe me when I say that that long-term goal is achievable as long as you just stick to your plan. As we come out of this pandemic, I think it's really even more important right now to remind ourselves to keep that long-term focus. You know, over the last year or 18 months, there's been, this short-term focus, which is rightfully so. We're trying to get past this pandemic. But as the economy starts to reopen, as we go out to restaurants, as we hopefully go on vacation, and we get to travel more, that's fantastic. But we need to realign our long-term focus and make sure that we're doing the things and the steps that we need to take to achieve financial independence when we want to. And I'm talking about retirement planning, but really I like to think of it as when are you going to be able to consider yourself financially independent, where work becomes optional. So how do we bring back that long-term focus without getting derailed by the short term? Well, I just quickly want to talk about 3 concepts today. Again, hopefully this is just to get you back on track as we maybe go back to the office or, like I said, get back to some semblance of normal. Well, we need to revisit those goals that we set out to accomplish 10, 20, 30 years from now. And yeah, it feels like somebody hit the pause button over the last 15 to 18 months. But it's time to restart what we started a while back. I'm going to talk about 3 simple strategies that you can think about or you can implement right away that'll help you in getting that long-term focus back. Take one of these, take all 3 of them, whatever works for you. Some ideas, some tips, some tricks, that's what I like to bring to this channel. Number 1 is try to think of your future self, or what I like to say is try to get to know your future self. And I get it, this sounds a little bit cheesy, but if it was possible, if your 75-year-old self could talk to your 35-year-old self, what would that person say? And this is where I put a video out a few weeks ago talking about the behavioral concept of envisioning or maybe seeing a computer-generated picture of yourself and what you'll look like in 10, 20, 30 years. Sometimes that gets us thinking in the right direction for achieving these long-term goals. I think this is a helpful reminder for everyone that is trying to achieve financial independence at some point in the future. It's good to think of, all right, well, all these tiny steps that you're taking now, putting money into your 401k or contributing to an IRA, or just creating a budget and sticking to it, something as simple as that. Your future self is going to thank you for doing that. But first, you just have to try and imagine what that future self looks like. The second thing I want to talk about, and this might seem a little counterintuitive, but you just have to prioritize being flexible over something that you think is going to be certain. Especially when we're talking about investing, especially when we're talking about financial planning, so many things can change. Obviously, the market's going to move up and down, but then tax laws are going to change. Estate planning laws, those are possibly going to change. It's great to have a plan, don't get me wrong, but it's also important to be flexible, to be able to adjust on the fly. And again, having those small incremental steps, that's going to allow you to be flexible, because if something does change in the way that the tax laws are set out, for example, we can pivot, we can move along with that. We just have to be okay with that flexibility. As humans, we're hardwired to want that certainty, to want that guarantee. And once we realize, for the most part, there are no guarantees in life, well, then we're going to be able to go down this path, hopefully with a lot less stress, and then with a lot more success as well, as we're able to pivot and move to whatever curveball gets thrown our way. The third thing I want to talk about is just we need to recognize our emotions and hopefully be able to pull back, look at the big picture, again, look at that long-term focus when we need to, so that we're not making any short-term emotionally driven decisions. What I'd call behavioral finance. If we see some bad news or some other headline that makes us want to take action right away because it's going to make us feel better, it might make you feel better in the short term, but is that the right move, or is that the right decision for that long-term goal? it's easier said than done sometimes to figure out if you made the right move. And I just want to make sure that everyone's aware that your emotions might get in the way of achieving some of those small incremental steps in the right way that you are hoping to accomplish those. And it's good to try and be as objective as possible when you're making investment decisions or when you're making some sort of career decision. So yeah, this is the third thing, is just to make sure we've got our emotions in check and we're trying to be as logical as we can. I wanted to keep this simple. I wanted just to hopefully remind everyone to keep that long-term focus in mind. I love coming to work every day because I get to help my clients put together that long-term plan, and then we get to implement it. And I get to be that sounding board when maybe the plan changes, maybe when we're being flexible but we didn't want to be. Whatever it is, when it comes to financial planning, it's nice to have that objective third party, and I get to be that person for a lot of my clients. So if you have other questions, definitely feel free to check out my other videos or shoot me an email. I'm happy to connect and answer any questions you might have. Again, my name is Alan Hensley. I'm a wealth advisor here at Merriman Wealth Management. If you'd like to learn more, definitely, like I said, don't hesitate to reach out. Or if you've got other topics you want me to make a video about, let me know. Thanks so much.